All right, so I'm not going to bury the lead. The FDA allows about a 20% variance in food. What does that mean? It means the number of calories that are written on the package of your food could be up or down about 20%. And so I get the question a lot. I'm counting calories and trying to lose weight and it doesn't work. This could be one of the reasons why that is. So this is not intended for medical diagnosis. Please do your research offline and have a conversation with your doctor, totally just educational purposes. There are a million reasons why you might not be losing weight, even if you're counting calories. It's not something that I typically even do in my practice because I focus more on the relationship with your body, the energies and emotion around food. But this is also, I think, just pretty important and interesting information to know. So if they're allowed to put on your packages of food 20% more or less than the actual calories that are in there, what does that do to your diet and why are they allowed to do that? Well, a couple of things. It's really difficult to be able to determine the exact number of calories. We have formulas that have been used for a long time. There's 9 calories per gram for fat, and then for protein and carbohydrates, there's about 4. So that's the math that they're going to be using to be able to determine calories. Now, with the actual food composition, as we know, most foods, even single ingredients, have different ratios of your macronutrients, of your carbs, protein, and fat. So because of that, when they're trying to build and develop exactly how much food is there, the more ingredients that are involved and the more processed the food is, the harder it is to really determine that number. A super good example of that is potato chips. So if I was slicing up potatoes to go into my potato chips, would I be able to make it so that each potato slice is the exact same size and the exact same thickness? And could I tell if the water content within each slice was exactly the same before I dipped it in the oil? That would be pretty hard to do, and it can vary even within the same potato. Part of it might be holding more water than the other. So when those go into the fryer, we might end up with those little crispy bits that are mostly oil, not so much potato, or we could have something that is more potato than oil. And even between each slice, it's going to be absorbing different amounts. So when I put my potato chips on the scale to say how many calories are within an ounce of my potato chips, it's going to be really hard for me to say batch to batch, potato to potato, how many calories are exactly there because of that processing of the food. That makes sense, right? Like there could be one pesky chip in there that doesn't have 2 grams of fat, but it actually has 6 grams of fat in it. And so with that, there's going to be that variation, and they're making estimates the best way that they can. More often than not, it's not something that's nefarious. It's just because it's really difficult to do. And again, we're eating things that have tons of ingredients in them. So the variance in things like whole foods is going to be lower. It's still going to be there because there's natural variation in food, anywhere from about 5 to 15%. But things like restaurants can have upwards of 30% variance depending on the preparation, because at this point you have a human who's determining the portion sizes. So is that chef going to be able to put the exact same amount of food? Are they weighing it before they put it on the plate and give it to you? Probably not. So that's why there's this variation. That would definitely sabotage your weight loss efforts. So what's actually happening in a real world example? So for one thing, like a cookie, it could have 200 calories, 12 grams of fat, 22 grams of carbohydrates, and 3 grams of protein. If I have 20% variance on that, it could be anywhere from 160 to 240 calories. My fat could be anywhere from 9.5 grams upwards of 14.5 grams. Carbohydrates could be anywhere from 17.5 to almost 27 grams. And protein could be anywhere from about 2.5 to 3.5 grams. So it's 80 calories that's different. And also looking at the macronutrients, it's going to impact that as well. So if I was counting my protein and thinking that I was getting a certain number of grams and adding those to my protein log, or if I was trying to stay above or under a certain number of grams of fat or carbohydrates, it's also probably going to be sabotaging me a little bit, not giving me the perfect picture. And I could be going up or down. So if I was trying to gain weight and I had things that were underrepresented, might be why I'm not gaining the weight I'm looking for. If I was trying to lose weight, same thing. So very common scenario, 35-year-old female, she's 5'6". She weighs 170 pounds and she wants to lose about half a pound a week. So in order to do that, she needs to have a calorie deficit, if we're talking just calories in and calories out, of about 250 calories. The old formula is 500 calories equals 1 pound of body weight. So if she wants to lose half a pound, it's about 250 calories. Now I used the formula that I used in my other video that you can look up online and just use a calculator to be able to determine what your maintenance calories would be based on age, weight, height, activity level. That's what I plugged in here for this person. 2,555, so we'll say 2,500 calories minus her 250 calorie deficit. She needs about 2,300 calories a day if the only way that she is trying to lose weight is from her diet alone. So breakfast, she counted diligently, 400 calories, lunch, 600 calories, dinner, 7, snack, 200 calories. Well, with this 20% variation, she could be up or down 360 calories. But wait a minute, she needs 250 calories deficit to be able to lose weight. So if she's getting more, she's actually getting 100 calories more, she's a little bit above even her maintenance calories. No wonder it's not working. Or in someone else that maybe is eating slightly different food and the numbers are leaning slightly in a different direction, she's doing fantastic and she's losing more weight than she thought that she would. So you can see how this could go up or down. And this is someone of this size. Now imagine if you had someone who was much smaller, someone who was 5'1", and weighed a lot less, but was still trying to gain or lose weight. You can see how these numbers could make a huge impact, right? So the ratios are there. So this is one reason why calorie counting alone might not work or might have you not meeting your goals. Some things that you can do if this is something that you're using, and I'm not saying that this tool is good or bad, it's just more information, right? Ways to do it. One is weigh your food instead of measuring it by cups. Very common in the US for us to be using cups and tablespoons to measure things out. Weighing things is much more accurate. So if you get a little kitchen scale, you can find out how many grams or ounces that you're consuming instead of using the cups. I can't tell you how many times I have stuck my tablespoon into the peanut butter and ended up probably with about 2.5 tablespoons because I wanted a healthy amount. Well, the meager tablespoon on the day that I'm maybe not feeling so well and the hefty tablespoon on the other day could be, even doubling the calories that I'm getting from that, plus the variance is really sabotaging me. So instead, if I weighed that peanut butter out on the scale, I could say, hey, I'm getting 5 or 10 grams of peanut butter in every single meal, and that's gonna help control it a little bit more. If you're taking all this time to count calories, you might as well take it that extra step so that way it's a little more meaningful. Number 2, of course, you're going to want to try to eat whole foods as much as possible, in addition to all the million benefits that eating whole foods is going to give you. This is also going to give you a much more accurate rate because, again, that variance is going to be less the fewer ingredients and the more natural ingredients that you have. I know that that's not always accessible for everyone, depending on your job, your lifestyle, the place that you live, right? Income, all of these things can impact your whole food availability, but doing the best that you can to be able to prioritize that is really going to help. And frozen foods count too. So even if you don't have a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables available in your area, you can totally move towards having frozen single ingredients, right? Add all of your condiments on later rather than getting that ready to eat meal that already has all of the ingredients mixed in. Again, it's just going to help you control this particular aspect of your calorie counting. Of course, trying to eat out a little bit less is also going to help. Again, there's pros and cons to that, but this isn't lifestyle advice. This is just giving you advice and a little bit more insight into why calorie counting in and of itself isn't entirely accurate. So if you are successful or not successful in this area, it's more than just the calories that you're counting that is contributing to your success or failure. So don't give up. There's so many different aspects that are really, really important to this. And the last thing that I'll say is if you're someone who is working with someone, like if you're a nutritionist, for example, and you're trying to help someone out, don't use this as the only measurement to be able to help guide your clients, because again, it's not going to give you the whole picture, and it can set people up for failure or just a lot of discouragement. So instead, using a more holistic approach and a few different tools, if your clients are wanting to use this, is a better way to go and a more compassionate way to go. So I hope you found this useful. Don't be too frustrated at the FDA. This is not a political video in any way. This is just giving you the fact and information. So again, I hope that it's really helpful.